Hello and welcome to another episode of Agri Art. Changes in key traits occurring during the process of plant domestication are mostly inferred by reference to wild relatives or primitive land races. This is especially true for crops outside of Western Eurasia. As a consequence, these crops are subject to continuous debate. Crops that are debated most heavily are those in the nightshade family, such as the potato, tomato, or eggplant. The humble eggplant will be the subject of the discussion for this episode. Let's get started. The full origin and domestication of the eggplant is a challenging question, even to this day. Hypotheses about the origins and evolution of eggplants have in the past been based on inference owing to a lack of archaeological evidence for the origins and early domestication. The researchers Lester and Hassan suggested that the eggplant was derived from the subtropical species Solanum incandum, native to North Africa and the Middle East. They further suggested that the wild progenitor developed as a weed that was later domesticated in Southeast Asia. The out-of-Africa hypothesis has been supported by later genetic evidence that will be in the next episode of Memento Malum today, but I digress. The paper I'm referencing is by Dr. Jin Xiao Wang. There are several hypotheses on how the eggplant was domesticated. The first is that the wild species entered India as a weed and was gradually domesticated and spread across the old world. The second is that China is the center of domestication, and the third is that each cultivar group represents an independent domestication event. Dr. Wang hopes to use iconography to see if China is the center of origin for domestication. To that end, Dr. Wang analyzed multiple Chinese texts that date between 59 BCE and the 11th century CE, and here are the results. Hello, I just want to let you know, if you want to fund this channel, you can do so on the platforms seen in the description below. In a work called Tong Yu, dated back to 59 BCE, the author of that book states, "In the second month of the year, the spring equinox, separate and transplant seedlings of eggplant and scallion." Similar statements have been made in more contemporary works such as the work A Rhapsody on Metropolitan of Shu, dated between the 1st century BCE and the 1st century CE. Both works indicate that the eggplant was cultivated in southwest China. The text information indicates that the eggplant was cultivated in its domesticated form, and if the eggplant was domesticated in China, it could not have been later than 59 BCE. Various documents written between the 4th and 6th centuries indicate that the spread of the crop took place through trade routes across the Yangtze River between the 5th and 6th centuries CE. The main changes in eggplant cultivars have been documented through various Chinese documents. Although the first known botanical artwork of the eggplant dates back to the 6th century CE. This work is the Qimin Yao Shu of the early 6th century CE, which first described the eggplant being the size of a large mud or iron pellet. By the 12th and 15th century, the eggplant was described as being the size of a teacup, which at that time was around 10 centimeters, or about 3.94 inches in diameter. In the 16th century, the eggplant was bred to be more round, with a size between 7 to 10 centimeters, or between 2.8 and 3.94 inches in diameter. On a flavor standpoint, the earliest described eggplants were akin to beans in flavor. Between the 8th and 9th century, the flavor was improved. It's during this time that cultivars of oval fruit began to make an appearance. Between the 12th and 13th centuries, there's an increase in breeding for size and sweetness. This would continue in the 14th to 16th centuries, with the size and sweetness increasing through the various breeding efforts of the Chinese people. It is during this time that we see the appearance of the long-fruited cultivars. It is the era between the 18th and 19th centuries, however, that represents the creation of the majority of the variation found in Chinese eggplant. Likewise, size and sweetness continue to increase during this time period. While within the framework of the textual evidence, there is not enough evidence to confirm if the eggplant was domesticated in China. but there is enough to say that the Chinese at least had access to primitive cultivars or landrace. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.